And hello friends, Technicals Takers here, checking in on the 3D print operations for the day. Thanks to all the new subscribers coming through. If you're unfamiliar, I'm a business owner looking to expand into the 3D print realm. I already have a business, a warehouse or whatever, so I'm trying to prove that I can do a 3D print business to justify moving it into the commercial sort of sense, because I'm already paying those overheads and whatnot. So figure, if I can prove it, then we can do it. So what am I working on today? Well, I'm a big fan of M3's 3D, not just for his 3D printing content, just for the pure entertainment factor. My wife and I love watching him while we eat our dinner and then vomit it up. Anyway, one of his biggest sellers, I've noted, is a D20 cube, and I'm not a D&D guy, but I've come to find out D20 cubes are like a dice used in many board games. But that's not like there's tons of people selling D20 cubes all over Etsy and whatever, and so, there's a lot of competition for that item, but it doesn't seem like a lot of people print really big ones. And because I have Cobra 2 Maxes, I can print really big stuff. And so I'm doing a test print here of just the very top of a large D20 cube, because I had the big one queued up and it said it would take about 1,800 grams, so almost 2 full spools of filament to do it. But I was concerned about the very top of the print, because obviously I'm not going to have a lot of infill, and on the very top the bridgings would be pretty long, and so I didn't want to print 1,600 grams worth of filament only to get to the very top and find out that the bridging, it wasn't going to work, or I needed to tool with the settings. And I can't really print a smaller one to test it because the bridgings would be so much smaller. Does that make sense to me? If there's another way to test that, let me know in the comments below. I appreciate all the comments that I'm getting of all these tips and tricks with 3D printing, because I'm not super familiar with it. I'm a business guy, not a 3D print guy, but it's certainly super duper interesting to me, and I'm enjoying all this education that I'm getting. So my plan is I'll slice the model big, just the very top, enough to where it would be a test to test out those long bridgings to see if it would be adequate enough. I put, I think, 6 total solid layers on top in order to kind of, if it was a little wavy or messed up, that those extra layers on top would kind of maybe even it out. That's my thinking anyway. So what I'm doing is I'm printing just the very top to test that. So if it doesn't work out, instead of losing 1,800 grams, I lose, 150 grams. And that's just the nature of the beast with prototyping, I guess. So I'm working on that there. Up we go into the cursed closet where the P1P lives. And in here we finally, after many, many days and many, many errors with the AMS, mainly from low spool, not being able to backline, I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet and swap out that spool soon. Of the baby Baphomet, chibi Baphomets, looks like these are gonna make it. What I did was I increased my overhang angle for supports up to like 35, I think. Pretty aggressive, but I just didn't want these to mess up. You can tell that this is bamboo filament, this brown, but this priming tower is just, it's looking unholy, but I guess an unholy print needs an unholy priming tower. Anyway, the model itself, I did 2 of them because, it saves a lot of filament when you do multiples at once. And unfortunately, this model is, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to sell it online. That has to do with the licenses, and I've been looking more into the licenses. And if you're in the 3D print space, it's kind of like faux pas to even consider selling something that's another person's work or whatever. Me, I'm only concerned about the legal. When you look at cults' licenses, their personal use license, everyone and their mother says, well, you can't sell it, you can't print it and sell it. But if you read the license, and I'm sure if a lawyer read the license, they would say, like, well, there's kind of gray area there, because they expressly say in that license, you can't do anything with the 3D model. It doesn't explicitly say you cannot use the model to print something and then sell that thing that you printed. Now, it's heavily implied, and I think they do that on purpose, because I'm not a lawyer, but I think if they did that, then it would create room for contention and argument. And so I think they leave it purposefully vague. And in reality, no one's going to fight it. no modeler is going to fight it unless they're like a big company, because no one's got the money and no one wants to waste the money trying to fight someone in court for what? A cease and desist, or to, you say you had to give them all the money that you made from selling that model. How much could that be? It's not going to be worth the legal fees, that's for sure. But the real risk is having your Etsy shop shut down. So I'm not going to monkey with it. I'm going to print those and put them in my retail shops, because I have a bunch of retail shops that have nothing to do with 3D printing. But the customers that come into those shops might find that model to be cute. So I'll use it. I'll put it in there as decoration if someone wants to buy it, just between you, me, and the cabinets here and the ponytail palm. If someone wants to buy it, I will sell it to them, but not online. Finally, an update on our Glock. So if you know, I have these big Glocks on my Etsy, and I've been, a lot of people have, well, like a lot of people, 4 people have them in their cart currently. So I figured I'd go ahead and print another one and get it painted up. And as I'm printing this thing, it came out a lot better than the first one, a lot easier this time. And so I'm like, you know, do I really need to charge $600 for this thing? And then now I start to realize why. Like, yes, I kind of do, because I had printed it up, said yesterday's video that I was going to get it painted, but then I realized I had completely forgotten to print the front section of the lower, the trigger, the magazine, and then there's like a slight sort of, because this part prints on the bottom is here, it prints from here up, and then this part prints from here up. So these, where this slice is, are not coming off the same plane, if that makes sense. So there's this slight gap that develops. So I squeeze the model together, but the problem is that now this section that the slide rests on is not perfectly level. And so as a result, you can kind of see it makes this slight gap, which I'm not crazy about, but it kind of washes away once the model's all together. Still, just kind of a minor thing, but you know, I'm going through and gluing this, and I'm using in combination with super glue, I'm using some of this here cocaine. I'm just kidding, it's baking soda, to kind of accelerate the curing of the cyanoacrylate, just so it forms a stronger bond. So now that that's together, I'll flash this off, do this in a satin, do this in a flat, glue it together, put it on Etsy, put it up here where it'll sit another 6 months before I finally reduce the price down low enough to where someone will buy it. Then finally on my Etsy, I was splitting off, and I'm still probably gonna use the other Etsy account that I split off into. But as I was doing it, I was like, man, I've got the star seller status on my main Etsy account. I really don't wanna lose that or try to start over from scratch. A lot of people say, like, don't, you know, just have one niche in your shop, but I don't want to lose that star seller. You know, I don't want to lose that history. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to combine everything into one and just have categories. And then if in the future, if it merits, maybe split off some of the NSFW pieces, I guess. But that's currently the plan. Just want to keep marching forward on that. I just got to see what sticks first before I start getting overly complex. I don't want to get caught up in analysis paralysis. And just kind of go at it from there. So anyway, that's the skinny. That's what's going on in the 3D print realm. Let me know what you think in the comments below if you have any thoughts on anything I discussed here. Again, appreciate all the new people coming in. Be sure to like the video because it's the nice thing to do, and subscribe for more content like this. I'm the Technicals. See you next time.